Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Daniela Reads. Today we are going to talk about this book called Untamed by Celine Uwineza, based on a true story of an African child, a Rwandan daughter, a transformational healing journey after surviving the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. This book was first published in 2019, and Celine is a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur. Today I'm going to share with you guys the summary of her book, Untamed. So during 1994, when genocide started on 7th, it was just a normal morning to Celine. She was 10 years old during the genocide, and she just woke up feeling just like a little kid as she was when she found her mother and her three siblings in the dining room. She found them they were shocked, and her mother had a look which wasn't normal, and she couldn't even understand what was going on. And she started telling them can we go to eat? Can we can we get dinner? And by that time, there was this nanny who used to be, there was this girl who used to be their nanny. She was called Francoise, and she was at their house by that time because she was now working, by that time actually working with their mother. She wasn't no longer like a nanny. So when genocide started, she was with them. The first day of the genocide on 7th, that's when they saw two soldiers coming to their house, coming to kill them. They had guns, and Celine couldn't even know what was going on. It was in the afternoon when she was sleeping, and she woke up on a soldier waking her up, and he brought her in the dining room with others, like her mother and siblings and Francoise. And they told them they were going to kill them, but her mother tried all her best to protect her children by giving them money, by telling them I'll give you my cows, they had two cows, I'll give you my cows. And but they first shot her mother on the foot, but she didn't, nothing happened to her other than shooting her. And her mother tried all she could. She gave them money, and her brother too gave them money, and they accepted to go. They said we are going, but we'll be back with another others will come to kill you. So that day in the evening, their mother said we can't stay in the house, it's better we go to the bush, outside their garden, to hide themselves. So they went there, and they were separate. Her mother was with Celine and her big sister, and the brother and the other sister and Francoise were on the other side. And their mother asked the brother to go and to their neighbor to get medicine to put on her wound. So they tried all they could do, and then later on the neighbor told them I heard others, they're going at the core at the nuns, you can just go there and hide because others are there. So that's when they decided to go there and hide with others. So the nuns took them in, and they took care of her mother, and they put kids with other kids. So it wasn't until 10th of April when Interahamwe came to tell them they should just go outside, and they took them at this place where they were going to kill them. So when they were going to kill them, they said only kids and the nuns allowed to go back, but elders and teenagers and the yeah, and the old people, they were supposed to stay because they're going to keep them. Her mother tried all her best and she told her to go with one of her sister, but Interahamwe refused for her sister to go with her. So the mother could see that they were going to die, and she begged her and she talked to her as she could, like telling her like, you go with the nuns, go with them, like just leave us here. Celine left them there, but she was really crying. She didn't want to leave her mother. And by seventh, she remembered like by seventh, when their mother like taught them like a prayer, so that even the time they would die, they would just be repeating that prayer over and over. So for her, she was like, I just want to go to heaven with you. She wanted to die with her mother, but the mother refused and begged her just to go with them. So she left with the nuns, but before she could even reach where she couldn't see them, like out of their sight, she held in Interahamwe the explosion. Then the nuns begged her, like they took her, and that's when they killed her mother, and two sisters, and the brother, and her nanny. And that is even why I decided to do this video on 10th of April, especially that her story and her mother and the brother and the siblings died on this day. That's why I decided to do the book on this day. So Celine was taken to the convent with the nuns and other kids, and she was given 4 kids to take care of, because she was among those kids who were like older than others, so she was taking care of other kids. Everything was just like not easy, but at least they could get something to eat and they could get place to sleep. And then, but the thing was, Interahamwe would come every day, like to their convent, and say like, you are the next one to die. Tomorrow will come for you. Tomorrow will come to kill you, because they will just come and say, we killed your parents, we killed your aunties, we killed your family. So kids, that means like you are the next ones. The nuns were scared, and then one of them just went to seek for help, and she was given 2 kind-hearted FAL soldiers to escort her so that they could bring the kids to a safe place. She came back with them, and they took the kids, and on their way to Kabgai camp, where they were going like to be staying, it was hard for her. It was hard for them, because they were being stopped at every roadblock, like saying like, bring out those kids, we kill them. And they could say like, we have an order and we have to take these kids because they want them. They are not going to kill them, they want them, like as if they were saying like they are going to be killed next or whatever. So they took them to the camp like at Kabgai, and they found there were like so many people, and the camp in Kabgai was so hard because they couldn't find food, like nice food, and they would even drink like dirty water, and some even died because of diarrhea, malnutrition and everything. But for Celine, she managed to survive from Kabgai. And there was this story she said when she went to fetch water to drink, and she found that there was fingers inside the water, like she was drinking. So she said like she ended up becoming like a zombie, to the point she would walk somewhere and not even be scared of seeing body parts. You can imagine a 10-year-old walking and see like a body parts, like an arm, a leg, and she couldn't be even scared of it. It was really like it was sad, like it's a sad story. And later on, when RPF soldiers were taking over some places, they came to take them from Kabgai to Ruhango by foot. It's a long distance. I will try to put it in the video so that you could see where a 10-year-old walked by foot from Kabgai to Ruhango to the other camp. And from that camp, and that's actually how she survived, though it wasn't easy. And then like from like Ruhango, that's where they started like writing their names so that they could find their families, they could be reunited with their families, and she could see others united with their families. And when she could think about how her mother and her siblings died, she could just feel like, no, I'm alone. And she was really mad, like, why my mother didn't let me die with them? I could be in heaven right now with them. And she was really lonely. And before I continue, Celine, she was born in a family of 5 kids, and she was the last born. And their firstborn was in Kenya by the time of genocide, and her father and her grandmother, paternal grandmother, they were in Congo by that time, because they were going like to bury the one of her family relative. And that's why like the genocide when it started, their firstborn and the father were not in Rwanda. So she was feeling like she was lonely, no one was there, like from her family. And when she found someone and she told him like the names of her father and the mother, the person was like, okay, I know your father, please write for your father a letter. And then later on she wrote a letter telling her father. Actually, this was a really sad story, like, I mean, a sad letter. She wrote to her father by saying like, dad, everyone is dead. And she said like, please don't forget to buy for me toothpaste and underwears. That was all in the letter she wrote for her father, because the father was even looking for her. And she was he heard that one of her daughter survived, but he thought like maybe they are lying, though there is no one that survived the genocide. And later on she was taken to Bugesera to her family, and later on she was back to Byumba to her auntie. And then later on, like in the still in 1994, after the genocide, that's when she reunited with her father and her brother. Her life after genocide, she was quiet. And then when she was growing up, she tried to keep silent the 10-year-old Celine, and she was trying to move, to grow up with this other like person. Like it was like two people in one person, a grown-up Celine and a 10-year-old who saw all those things like in 1994 genocide. And she buried that girl, like that little girl, with everything she knew, with everything she has seen in the genocide. And she was trying to live, to be like a grown-up Celine, until she met her husband right now, Gilbert. That's when she started like realizing some things. Oh, her husband is the one who realized that Celine was dealing like with two people. The girl she buried inside of her, and the real Celine, like you could see outside, the partying woman, and who is always partying, having fun and everything. And then Celine got married to her husband, and she could just experience some things. And she could have experienced like if her husband was away or busy or whatever, she could feel like she's not being enough to her husband, all because of like the childhood trauma she didn't even know that she had. In her book she wrote, experiencing trauma as a child can lead to a host of emotional and psychological issues that may not emerge until later in life. Adults who experience trauma during childhood may experience difficulties in many aspects of their lives. They may not realize that these traumatic experiences are contributing factors to their current issues or even the root cause of them. So Celine, She said that because she was experiencing many things. There was this time also she experienced like back pain, and she and the back pain was because of the stress and the trauma and everything. And she went to they told her like to start swimming so that like the pain could fade away. And she tried and it was working. She was successful, according to the life of working. She had job and she started even working when she was young, and she was having a good job. She worked at the bank, currently now I&M. And later on she shifted to be an HR at Agahozo Sharon. And she was like she was really in terms of financially, she was getting like nice job. She was really getting like working different things which were like she was really successful. But the childhood trauma couldn't, it wasn't staying away from her. And some days she could feel like screaming, like leave the room and go to the dining room so that she could scream. She was experiencing so many things. So Celine experienced different things, like different things. And she now, like, she asked her auntie, she told her husband that she wasn't really feeling well. And she even went to her auntie. No, actually the husband took her to the auntie, and the auntie said like we should go to see a psychologist, and she accepted this I think it's something so many people they refuse. So many people they refuse to, like, you could know like you're not fine, something is not really going well, and thinking to go to a therapist, you'll be like, no, I'm fine, I don't need to go there, or I don't need this. But Celine decided to go to a therapist, to visit a therapist. That's where she started like feeling free. Like she started writing letter to her mother, and they even told her like first of all to bring out the 10 years old Celine to so that she could meet the old Celine. And she could find like the 10 years old, she was really sad, like her mother and the siblings just went to heaven by leaving her behind. She tried to talk, she tried to write, like they helped her in so many different ways. She was like really taking it, going to the to see a psychologist, and she would just do what the psychologist told her, like write letters to her mother. She even shared some letters she used to write to her mother. And from there, that's how she started healing. And then later on, she heard the voice of God, like telling her to start writing, and telling her like, oh, you are writing, you should use it as you should write a book, and a book which will help other so many people out there. And she did it. That's how she wrote the book. And later on, she even started her own company with her friend, and which is still working by now because she's an entrepreneur. She works for herself now. She no longer works at Agaozo Sharon, and she just find now a way after going through psychology. I mean, after going through visiting psychologists. And there is in her book where she said how they came to sit together, her and her father and her brother, like the firstborn, and they sit together and they were talking all the things they remember about her mother, the other siblings, so that they could just be free, or set them free and them to be free. They did. And there is a YouTube video they did which is almost 1 hour long, and where they were talking about their family, which Celine said it helped her like in her process of healing. And obviously when she was writing the book, going through the details of what happened, it was also in another way of healing. And it's an important thing that I see, that it's really important to visit a psychologist, because sometimes when you don't even know how deep is your childhood trauma, trauma, it ends up coming even into your adulthood. Like you end up even being in a relationship, you find you are bringing like your childhood traumas, because now it's like you're asking too much for a part, even your partner to give you, or even a friend, or even anyone else. Just like Rwanda decided to say, like, we have to forgive others, we have to move on. It doesn't mean like we are forgetting our people, our loved ones we lost in 1994 genocide against Tutsis, but we just have to fight and work hard and think about our future. And in the end, what you do, it's what really like even makes you even happy. Be like, if I can do this, I'm sure one way or another they're proud of me. So you don't have to go and sit there and be sad or just think like, I need this, I need this. It's better to know your childhood trauma and find someone who is experienced into talking to people, a psychologist either, and you talk to them and set your inner child free and set yourself free. So thank you guys for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and God bless you. Bye.